Hey parents and LEGO fans, welcome back to Brickforce Dad, where I, Kelly, talk anything about LEGO, whether it be buying or building them. So with that, welcome aboard and let's get on today's video. Alright, so today's episode we're going to be talking about MOCs, or My Own Creation. These are different LEGO sets that people build without standard LEGO instructions or buying them from the store. These come from the mind or anybody's idea on the internet that you can go on and get. I love building MOCs. It's my favorite thing about LEGO, and that's one of the reasons why I like to buy the sets, is because I learn from how these sets are built. And I tell you, from back in the early 90s when I started to today, the methods of how they develop building these new smaller parts together is incredible. And that's why MOC building is even more exciting, because you get to use these pieces going forward and how to build different ideas. Now, I've been building MOCs for about 30 years, like previously stated. I did have a 9-year dark period during that time, but I did come back to the light, and I'm glad I did, and I don't feel like I'm gonna ever go back to that time. Now, for MOC building for me, I do not use instructions. I don't use a computer. I only usually use pictures or any images that I've seen, and sometimes I like to borrow some ideas or concepts that I've seen online that other people used, like you'll see from my warehouse for pallets or forklifts, some generators, and especially suspension system that I use in this tank here that I'll show you in a second. I'm going to share some of the MOCs I still have together and also show you some of my older MOCs. Now, I don't keep all my MOCs together because I need the parts. I don't have tens of thousands of pieces. I have thousands of pieces. So I like to take pictures of them, share them online, get some likes on them, then take them apart. And the best part is, later on, once you get inspiration again, come back and build it again. And you can improve on different portions that you'll see, how you can use better pieces, how you can smooth surfaces out, and make it better, more proportional to the actual item that you're building. But it turns out even better every single time. So I actually do encourage, after building them, take them apart and starting over again. So with that, let's show you some of my older MOCs. Starting from one of my oldest recorded MOCs, I experimented with some of the new parts from the Ninjago sets back in 2017-2018 and made a 3-man fighter jet for Garmadon and his henchmen. I really liked a lot of the new black parts that were out, and I really like building airplanes and jets, so I thought about building a larger scale model and see what happens with it. I love Star Wars, and the minifigures make great use for dioramas. I made a first order command and control center after acquiring way too many of the sequel minifigures, to which I have sold all of them now. I built a cutout of a Star Destroyer turret with the fire control interior. Then the MOC that almost got me banned on the LEGO Facebook group because I posted this scene 48 hours after the finale of The Mandalorian Season 2. I used this hallway for several pictures with some custom lighting. I also attempted a custom Imperial ship, an Imperial snowcrawler, and a cutout of Imperial bunker with a small interior. If you can't tell, I'm a huge fan of the Empire. I love building warehouses and industrial areas since I have a ton of the light bluish gray parts. Whether it be a generic warehouse here, or the one I'll show you shortly, or a launch bay for the Buzz Lightyear ship. They're always a lot of fun to build, especially the realistic items. And finally, military vehicles are always fun to build and make minifig scale. I always loved building airplanes and attempted a minifig scale F-15. This was my second iteration of this jet with several improvements using the studs not on top or SNOT method. I then got inspired to build tracked vehicles because I got a hold of a couple of the suspension Technic parts, gear wheels, and tread links. I attempted a Soviet-era T-72, M270 MLRS with a movable launch system, a Sturmgeschütz 3 or Stug 3, and a Tiger 1 or Tiger 1. My final tracked vehicle project was the German Leopard 2 or Leopard 2. I built 2 prototypes, improving and changing parts out to match the real thing. I liked the second iteration so much that I ordered all the same pieces in dark green and black and decided not to take it apart. And here it is, the one MOC that I will not take apart. The Leopard 2 or Leopard 2 tank, all in dark green pieces. I don't know how many pieces it is, so please don't ask that in the comments. And I think I spent about 600 euro on all the parts for this one, especially the Technic portions in the bottom. But the tank is massive, as you can see here. The turret does rotate at the top. I do have a Crow system with the 50 cal on it and the MG3, a rotational sight for the commander's point of view as well, and a couple other features on there that I'll show you in a second. After several iterations of building different types of tanks, I think I finally nailed it with this one. It took, again, 3 iterations with this one, along with a couple other improvements along the way. But at this point, I am done building and improving this MOC. This is it. I did add some kind of decals on the side, not really good quality, but just to give it a little bit of a different coloration against the green. I tried to be as accurate as the real model, utilizing 7 different gear wheels at the bottom of the tracks. So again, that drove the cost up because I have each of those wheels on a different spring system too, to make sure that each of the wheels can bounce off any type of terrain that it's rolling across. It is not motorized. Next up, we have my 3rd iteration of the F-18 Super Hornet. I've tried several different techniques to get all the angles correct on this, and it is absolutely very stressful and trying to get these pieces to work right. But after 3 times, I still don't feel completely satisfied, so I might do a 4th iteration. I'm really satisfied with how this one came out, especially being minifig scale, which I'll show you the cockpit here in a second. But I like to add a lot of the details with the flaps, some of the engine details, the lights, some of the weapon systems. While building this one, I did have to stop and reshape some of the wings, the tails, and the engines at the back a couple times, just because it didn't seem that it fit right correctly. The landing gear, I'm still learning how to do landing gear on my own. I might have to look online to get a little bit of help on how to design them, because it is pretty tricky to get that all in place. But I pretty much got the fuselage portion down. The side of the engines were really interesting to create as well, just because of the angle and how small the airway needed to be to show all the details there. The cockpit as well, I try to make it as accurate as possible to have one minifigure in there as well that I've custom made with this awesome Lego piece that I use for a cockpit. It's really great to use. Overall, I'm really impressed with this piece, this model, but I will be taking it apart, unfortunately. And last but not least, the last MOC I have that's still together is this warehouse that I built. I was inspired to build this. Number 1, I work in supply chain. But number 2, Lego released this truck that came with a couple pallets and a forklift. And I said, I need to definitely expand upon this and build a little docking bay, which I'll show you the details in a second. So starting with the warehouse floor, I had to build a lot of open space to get room for all of the different racks that can hold all the different pallets. I ordered a couple of different pieces off of Bricklink to get the box colored pieces in play, and also had to give a lot of the little pieces for the minifigures so they can show like they're actually working on the shop floor. I then move over into the office front area. I built a little reception area, a lot of different pieces on there I looked online how to do as well, like this little printer that you can see there. Also did some offices in the back. There's a little conference room, and then kind of the general manager's office to give it more of a realistic kind of picture, especially for supply chain. On the outside of the warehouse, I have 2 parking spaces for the 8-stud wide Speed Champion style cars, and I did build an HVAC system on top of it that I found on YouTube, so make it look a bit more realistic. Along the backside, I had to make enough space for that new Lego truck to fit in the back, but overall I was really happy how this warehouse turned out. It was my 4th iteration going through, and I wanted to get a little bit more realistic picture on it. Unfortunately, again, this one will be taken apart here pretty soon. So there you have it. Those are my MOCs that I currently have right now. I highly encourage you guys to try it out. It's a lot of fun. Do it with your kids, do it alone. Great stress relief. I highly recommend it. Thanks for showing up again. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.